Hey, what's good? It's Heavenly Wave. Today is going to be a little different. This lecture is going to cover economics and spirituality. You already know it's Heavenly Wave Shati, but more professionally, it's Heavenly Wave Professor. I run Heavenly Wave University. You already know. So, I want to talk about classism. Whether you believe it exists or not, it's solely up to you. But I need to inform people, especially the younger generations, the as consciousness is expanding, it is my obligation to expand heavenly as much as I can. So with further ado, without further ado, we're just gonna get right into it, okay? We're gonna get right into it. So here is my vertical oriented whiteboard, and we are gonna get right into it. You have the working class. Oh, sorry. I keep speaking for myself for this individual right now. You have the dependents. So I'm gonna color that in green. You have the dependents right here. Okay? You need to see it as a triangle. Okay? A pyramid, I should say. All right. Let me make this nice. So you have the dependents. So people who rely on government funding for their livelihood. Okay. Low education, no information, no generated wealth, just living day by day, moment by moment. They are limited to their body and mind. All right. And we'll talk about what this is later on. When you're subjected to your body and mind, you create your own limitations and your own universe of lack and scarcity. So, health problems, mental health problems, low IQ, degeneracy, crime. The next class we will talk about, this is a pyramid on wealth in developed nation and in the world. They have to follow this. Above the dependent class, you have minimum wage workers, students, maybe the elderly that still want to work if they do not have a pension, or children. So this is people making between 15, no more than 30K a year. Right here. And every company that these people work for, they're always introduced an idea that they can work up in the company to become supervisor, assistant manager, key holder, whatever that may be, operator, educator, and that creates your next class of social middle class, but also working class. So this is your lower working class. This is your middle working class. And these are people who are educated and who have been established in their career over 5 years. And whether they're teachers, nurses, services in the community, in that nature, or people who were working in minimum wage and they climb the corporate ladder. People in this bracket make over 40K a year, depending on provincial and state tax deductions. All right, the next tier are the working professionals that are hard to replace, and they do great politicking to stay in their class. So back then, this would be called like nobles. These are your doctors, lawyers, engineers, maybe accountants, people that are either entering their career. If they're entering their career, they're going to be in this bracket. People who have been in their career for over 10 years, they're going to be in this bracket of creating influence for these three classes. Okay? Again, making over 50K a year. And obviously the amount of politicking that they do, because they do have a more advanced educational background and more advanced financial literacy than the three lower classes. And they will do whatever it takes to stay in their class because they work with the policymakers, and that is the class above them. The policymakers, people who make the rules and regulations to regulate the four remaining classes. And this can also be intertwined with technology, but we're not going to talk about technology right now. But we're talking about how people in this bracket, they make the policy on how hard you need to work, how long you need to work, what type of person can climb the ladder, and what type of person cannot climb the ladder, based on the conditioning that they follow, right? And so people in this bracket will make, they get to determine how much they get to make. And then as you see, people in the upper working class will try to create influence in the policymakers. So really what it is this pyramid is demonstrating wealth is influence. Wealth, health is the influence of society. So the greater influence you have on society, the greater wealth you have. So it is going to be like, I guess, influence is the determining factor, and then your wealth will be dependent on your influence. How much you are generating a certain program, paradigm for people to follow, and if that paradigm creates wealth or not. That's where we get into the topic of like influence culture on social media, where they basically just brain rot people. It's essentially just to keep people on their phone, whether it is informative or not. The most informative content that anyone can ever create for itself is actually through lived experience. But I'm not going to go too deep into that. I have talked about that in my previous lectures that are more spiritual oriented. But yeah, Heavenly Wave is diverting into economics. This is my first lecture in economics and spirituality. The final tier, which is what I talked about before, which is the spirit. You have the mind, body, and spirit. I don't know if you can see that. Spirit. The spirit is the I am awareness. The I am God. I am an experience living through an experiencer. This is where people think elitism exists. Okay? But what it really is the thing that gets you up in the morning. Is the thing that rises every morning, the sun. The thing that tucks you in bed. The thing that hydrates your body. Nature. Again, I'm not going to go too deep into that. You already know the paradigms and programs of what elitism is in modern society of capitalism or developed nations. You already know. You think you have been controlled to think that they control the world and everyone is doomed because all of the wealth is owned by them. In an instance that is true, but all truths are half truths. You can only deliver that power to them if you believe that they are the power. If you condone that elitism is power. But what if I say I am elite? The one that says that they are elite, whether it is a Bernstein, Harvenstein, whatever person that lives up here that you think, they also have to say this sentence. You can catapult yourself into this state of well-being by just simply being. Experience life for itself through the experiencer. Again, I'm not even talking about wealth at this stage, because if you already know what this is, the I am, you know that you created this. You created all of these classes, dependent, variable. These are all variables that the I am has experienced to know its subjected limiting beliefs. Now, if you, like I gave examples about low education, low mannerism, low health, and just bad communication skills, bad literacy of finance, right? It could be generational, genetic, whatever, however you want to see it, but it is a paradigm that self, that person, that reflection has condoned for itself to experience. You cannot feel bad for it. Likewise, as someone who is on top of here, owning all of a country, all of its riches, creating money on its own, you can't feel any ways for their riches or their despairs. It is literally the same thing. Every company, every association, every institution that you are aligned with follows this exact pyramid. And once you know, when you keep standing on the I am, the pyramid falls. You will see that all of the organizations that you are a part of, they abide to what the I am is stating. Now, this gets very heavy if you haven't done your own spiritual work, right? Like, you need to hear that voice that's always there. And I'm not talking about all the thoughts that your mind is generating. I'm talking about the voice that is constantly pushing you to the righteous path, the heavenly wave path. That is the almighty power of self. All right? That is the one that created this. It needed to create friction for it to understand its fluidity. All right? It's Heavenly Wave. This is my first economic spiritual lecture 1. I don't know if I'm going to do a series or not, but yeah, stay tuned. It's Heavenly Wave Stories. You already know.